Good afternoon. Welcome to Book Bites with Maggie. My name is Maggie Carr. I'm the Youth Services Assistant here at Napanee Public Library. And on today's episode, joining me is my cohort, Kelly. She is a Public Services Assistant here at the library and often a face that you will see around town. And you know that she knows her books. And we were just discussing before we went live that she reread most of them for today's episode. So you are in for a real treat. Okay, so if you are new to Book Bites with Maggie, you understand that this is a digital reader's advisory. We highlight books that we have in our Napanee Public Library collection, and if there is a title that we mention, that we talk about, that piques your interest, we would be happy to set it aside for you and you can pick it up at your convenience. We do have more formats than what is just in front of us. So oftentimes books come digitally, so you can listen to them, you can read them on a Kindle, a tablet, even on your smartphone if you have a screen that's large enough to do that. But listening has become kind of a bigger thing. So almost all of these books are books that are available in those multiple formats. Now, here's why. These are Newbery Award winners. Okay, the Newbery Awards have been around. This is the 100th year, which is pretty cool. And it is one of our tasks for Expand Your Horizons. It's our third year of doing this task list here part of the library, and our goal is to read outside of our comfort zone. So we have year after year a list that is distributed amongst the staff is where it started, and then it's kind of evolved into a community project where we read. Are you gonna hold one up for me? We have different tasks. So reading a book that is a Newbery Award winner is on our list. So we have other things on here for this year, a book that has a book on the cover, a book from a library display, and our displays change constantly, so you're likely to find something good on those. A book written by or about a musician is on there. So we've got all kinds of different tasks, and then there's also activities that you can do. So you visit a New to You program at the library or at the Napanee Center over at our Evelyn Lehman Culp Heritage Collection. Joining another reading challenge. Right now our summer reading program is going on. You can stop in and sign up for that, and then anything that you read counts towards your minutes as well. And joining us for Expand Your Horizons gatherings a couple of times a year is also lots of fun. And it feels a lot like Book Bites, where we just sit and we gab about books, which is that's what we're good at. That's what we like.
Yes. What we like, yes.
That's what we like.
Definitely.
So on today's episode, we're featuring only a small portion of the last 100 years. So
Yes.
the Newbery Award was named after an 18th century British bookseller. I knew I wasn't going to remember that. So he was kind of known as the grandfather to adding literature for children to the marketplace. So as a bookseller and a print shop owner, he was able to help get us where we are today. Mm-hmm. And goodness, we all know that books are such a vital part of the education. It is a part of our leisure. And so we are thankful to him. So all of the books that we have, I kind of wrote down the years that they won. Did you happen to do that?
Yes.
You did? Okay. So we'll tell you what year the books that we're highlighting won and what we liked about them, or if we haven't read them, but what other people have liked about them. And again, in the comments, if you are interested in any of them, let us know and we will set them aside for you. Okay, so I noticed that we both had A Wrinkle in Time in our stack. And I'm wholeheartedly going to tell you that I have not read this book.
Which I've even read that book.
Yes.
So
I've
it's
read
a
it I
little
don't know how
weird.
many times.
But I mean, like, I know it's been a
Ever.
movie, and it's like this build-up,
Graphic
so I
novel.
haven't read it.
Yeah.
This was the 1963 winner of the Newbery Awards. Okay, so talk me into it. Why should I read The Wrinkle in Time? It's fantasy.
Yes. Do you like fantasy? I know that's not necessarily your favorite genre. It is
Yeah.
my favorite genre.
It is.
That's why most of the books in the stack that I read are fantasy.
They are. Okay, so I feel like fantasy is pretty good, but world building is a little bit hard for me.
Mm-hmm.
Like if it takes half the book to set the setting, then there's not much left for the story. I know that's not always the case, but I think that's why I shy away from
An
it.
alternate dimension,
Right.
not an alternate world.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
So it's,
I shouldn't automatically assume.
It's a little easier to get into the alternate dimension,
Right.
and how it's explained is really good.
So, but I heard this was time travel.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I should read it.
Yes.
It is the first in 5 books. Have you read all 5?
Oh, definitely. I own all
Do you
of
have to
them.
read them in tandem? Oh, you didn't know it was a
I
series?
didn't know that.
It's
Surprise!
Not, it's not really a series. There's like sequels. They're all connected. Like the characters are connected, but it's not like book 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or whatever. So yeah.
So this one, the first one, this is the 1963 winner. As far as I know, I don't think we have books 2, 3, 4, and 5, but some library might, and we can use interlibrary loan. We can get those into your hands, and then you could be the first person in Napanee maybe to read all 5 of them besides Kelly. And then you guys can talk about those. So it does say that it's a bookish, shy, awkward heroine who rescues her beloved father and brother. That sounds like an amazing reason to read this book. So I will add it to my list.
Wallace.
And what?
Meg and Charles Wallace.
Is that the main character's name?
Meg and her brother.
I will add it to my list,
Definitely.
my ever-growing list.
And the interesting thing is that, which I didn't even realize when I was pulling out books to read, I just looked at the list and went through. Actually, I printed a list several times and lost a couple of them, which is not unusual for me. But when I pulled out the book that we'll talk about next, I guess.
Yes. Oh, here, I was going to tell you. This is a book on CD. If you happen to have a compact disc player, we have it as an ebook, an e-audio, and the DVD. So there you go.
Did you say graphic novel? There's a graphic novel of that, but I don't know
I
that
don't know
we
if we have it. We could get it for you through another loan if we don't.
Because I have the wonderful teacher's edition, which is the only copy I could find. I'm sure my children probably have taken my hardcover. I don't know where it was. It's the only one I could find in my stash. And it has the couple pages of the graphic novel in it. But I don't have the graphic novel, which I don't know why I don't have that. But so we'll have to look into that.
Yeah.
We'll have to add that to our list of things to buy. Or whatever, add to our collection. But anyway, when I was reading When You Reach Me by Rebecca Steed, which I think I've checked this book out, I don't know, 3 times, and I've never finished it. I started it. I don't know why. I always check out too many books anyway.
Well,
But
yeah, that's
anyway, so this is from
common
2010, won the Newbery in 2010. And so it always had intrigued me because it's about a young girl whose mother was asked to be on the 20,000 Pyramid TV show from the 70s. Now, I think I might be the only person in the room that's old enough to remember that show unless you watched it. Well, maybe not.
On Game Show Network, maybe.
Game Show Network, yeah. I vaguely remember that.
Do you remember 20,000 Pyramids?
20,000 Pyramid TV show? I vaguely remember that.
No?
Okay. I am old enough to have watched that when I was.
So the main character's mother was on that game show in the story.
And so, but that's not really what the book is about. It's about a young girl named Miranda who has this mystery to solve. She starts getting these little notes in her book bag, in her winter coat, in different places. And so it is these little notes that says that she needs to start telling her story from the beginning. And you're like, what? What is this story? Because you don't know what it is. But then she starts kind of telling you the story and going back farther and farther about this mystery that's going to happen. And so you get to meet all of her friends. You get to meet the people she goes to school with, her teacher, and all the people in her community. She lives in New York City, and so she walks to school every day. And how one of her friends doesn't want to really be her friend for a while. You know, like all the drama from your childhood kind of comes back. And so I was thinking about all this. I was trying to figure out what this was, and I thought, what does this have to do with anything about the description? And it's just a mystery, and everybody loves mysteries, right? And so as it goes along, but then there's this, he is...
Don't give it away.
I won't give it away, but there's this character that they have different names for, and he's homeless. Okay, there's always homeless people, right, who live in cities or who live in communities. And so she tries to figure out or solve why he's homeless. And so she figures it out, but they all have different names for this character. And her mom doesn't quite trust him, but Miranda, the main character, does trust him, but she tries to figure out what's mysterious or what his story is. And so I won't give it away at the end, but there are references to A Wrinkle in Time throughout the story. And then she finds out that the bully in the story has read this story too, and he is super smart. And nobody knows that. And the only reason why she knows that is because she becomes like the message runner in the story at school. And the secretary has her run messages all over the school. And she runs into the bully. And they kind of become friends because she's super smart in science and math too. And he is. And he doesn't want anybody to know that. Because he would rather have people think he's the bully than know that he's super smart. But she finds out because they start talking about all this advanced math stuff that I'm not good at, but they are. And and so then he saw that she carries around this signed copy of A Wrinkle in Time by the author. And he's like, ooh, you've read that? And she's like, oh yeah, I've got a signed copy. He's like, ooh, where'd you get bad. So they have this long conversation about that. And then she figures out, oh, he must not really be a bad person because he's got a signed copy of Wrinkle in Time. And I'm like,
That's how
oh
you
my
totally
word.
judge a
Yeah,
person.
right.
Why
I'm
they're
like,
signed copies
yes.
of books.
So I will
sold
tell
me.
you,
Okay, so-
but I will tell you that her mom does go on that TV show and wins all the money. And they're really poor. They don't have very much at all, and so that is a good thing.
I love it. What other
So-
formats does that book come in?
Ebook and audiobook.
Oh, I like
So
it.
it was a really quick read, actually.
That
As
is-
you can tell, I have all these
Yeah, we have post-it notes in there.
for
So,
all the
like,
good stuff.
all of our Newbery books, they're intended for books, like, some of them are picture books. You've got Matt DeLapina's book
yeah.
over there. So, some of them are picture books. A lot of them are, like, early chapter books, and then, like, touching into middle grade. So, the award goes to an early literacy author. And that can look different. But I love how the characters can be so well-rounded. That doesn't always happen in young literature, where you're not just reading an ABC book. What's the next one I want to do here? Okay, this one, the crossover. I absolutely loved this book. So Kwame Alexander is an auto read for me. So when I found out that this one was going to be a Newbery, I was super excited. Back in 2015, the crossover was the first book in this series. It's going to follow a coming-of-age group of boys who, it's twin brothers that couldn't be more different, and then their group of friends, and they're all on the same basketball team. This has lots of family dynamics in it. You also, you see what it looks like to, how do you say that? To try to be untouchable and trying to hold yourself together when your home life is absolutely falling apart. And my favorite part about this is it is actually written in verse. So you get the entire story through bits and pieces of free verse, which it looks like poetry, lots of blank space in this, and each section tells you a little bit more of the backstory, what's happening at home with the twins' dad, what is happening with their mom, and all these expectations. So it is very realistic fiction, but a story told in free verse.
That's
This
awesome.
was the 2015 winner,
Awesome vocabulary.
and the first in a series. I can't remember how many are in this one. There's a couple.
2 or 3.
And then I have not read it yet, but this one also went to a graphic novel. And I don't know how you turn a poetry book into a graphic novel, but I'll have to check that out.
Pretty good.
You think they can do that pretty well?
Yep.
I feel like you do get the pretty easy, it's easy to visualize what's happening through the poetry. So I could see it being illustrated well, but this was one of my favorite ones. This is from page 20, basketball rule number 1. In this game of life, your family is the court, and the ball is your heart. No matter how good you are, no matter how down you get, you always leave your heart on the court. And I think that pretty much sums up this entire book. So this was a fantastic read. We have this available as a book, a graphic novel, an ebook, and e-audio, and that's the crossover by Kwame Alexander, the 2015 winner. Why don't you do another one?
Let's see. I'll talk about this one. The Girl Who Drank the Moon.
It's such a pretty cover.
It is. It's so beautiful. This is another fantasy title, of course. One of my very favorite authors. There are just some authors that are really good at writing poetry, but it's prose kind of author.
Yeah.
I think this has to be one of them. I actually listened to this as an audiobook because I couldn't get a hold of the actual copy because one of my students borrowed it and didn't bring it back, so I listened to the audiobook first.
That's okay.
I actually replaced it. This is my replacement copy. And it's about Luna, who is every year in this one town, they quote unquote sacrifice a child so that their town can continue to prosper. And so they take a child, the last born child, out to the forest and leave it there, they think, for the animals to take, but actually a witch comes along and takes that child to another city, and she calls it the Star Children, and so that they will live. But this one child, Luna, the witch accidentally gives her too much moonlight, And so she is infused with magic. And so it starts this tale of how to contain that, because a child, grows up and has to learn a whole bunch of things. And so they have.
She doesn't get the magic right away.
No,
it's not
right.
till her
till
13th
birthday.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
And so there are all these other wonderful mythical creatures in the story too. And there's a lot of funny things that happen, hilarity, but there's a lot of serious things too. And it's all about family and love and friendships and making the right decision, standing up for what's right. There's a couple of human characters in there that also decide that this is not right what this town does, and they decide to do some things about it. It's very lyrical, and you forget that you're reading a story. It just sucks you right in, and you lose track of time. And I've listened to the audio is really awesome. I think it's one of the best audios I've listened to in a really long time. And it's one of my favorite ones. Once Luna, her magic comes back when she turns 13, or almost 13, she doesn't know what it is, so she has to learn how to control it and make some decisions, very adult decisions for the almost 13-year-old. But she also has those around her who help her do that as well at the end. It climaxes to the very end. And it's pretty fast-paced. I had to reread the last few chapters again today because it was so good. And I just really love this author. She has some really other good books that are very much in the same vein. And her characters are so well developed. She has some new books out this summer that I haven't read yet. She has another middle grade title, The Ogress and the Orphans, which I anticipate to be just as good as this one. She also has a contemporary adult fiction book, When Women Were Dragons. That's supposed to be really, really good too, which I've heard a lot of really good things just in the last couple of weeks about. People are reading and said, oh, it's a must read if you like this book. So I'm looking forward to having some really good reads.
Do you remember what year that one won?
Oh, sorry, 2017.
The 2017 winner. Okay,
Yep.
so about 5 years ago. I like it.
Yep, I think I'm going to listen to the audio again just because I just reread it.
Is it like a full cast audio?
Yes.
Okay,
it
so
is.
you
I
that
think so.
really can, yeah.
Yeah, those are always
make
the best
the
ever.
best ones.
Yep.
Kate DiCamillo is an author that everybody knows. So she wrote The Tale of Despero. She wrote Bink and Golly is my favorite series. Yeah, because of Winn-Dixie.
Yes.
I'm like literally looking at the shelf in my head. She's written lots and lots of books.
Right.
So Flora and Ulysses, this is the Illuminated Adventures, and I didn't write down what year this one won.
I will look while you talk.
What
I got the
year?
list right here.
Huh?
I think it was recent.
I would have said that about that one,
2014.
and it was 5 years ago.
2014,
so it's
Yep.
been a while. You're aging yourself. Okay, so Flora and Ulysses, this is an interesting kind of comedy, and so I'm going to actually include this book as one that I would highly recommend if you're doing our Expand Your Horizons Junior, reading a book with a flashlight, because there's kind of this woven in story about a squirrel that just is hilarious, and I think that it would be such a great story to like read when you're camping, because this squirrel ends up it's just funny. Okay, so Flora and Ulysses, this is the Illuminated Adventures, and it follows a great friendship between people and animals, and so this would be a great read for you. And we have it in, let's see, a book, ebook, and an e-audio book. This one too is another one. I didn't realize how many of these come in graphic novel formats too. So this is The New Kid. Have you read this one?
Yes.
Okay, this was the 2020, so this one's not too old, the 2020 winner. It is a complete graphic novel, and it follows a young boy who is just starting middle school, and if that's not hard enough, he is moving schools as well. So his absolute desire in life is to go to art school. He's extremely smart, but his parents decide instead of art school, they send him to like this elite day academy that's across town. He feels very different. So the kids that go to school, they're extremely rich. They go all over the country. They leave the country for Christmas break and for spring break. That actually plays a part in the story. He's on kind of like a scholarship. And so you kind of get the feeling that this is the first year that they've done scholarships and invited students in to maybe give their school a little bit more diversity. So you have themes of race inside of this, and the kids and even the teachers, to be completely honest, they do not know how to act around kids that do not have it all. And the teachers slip up just as much as the students do in this and make absolute horrible judgment calls and things like that in this story. And so to read this as a kid's book, it's important because you're going to pick up on those themes that you might not otherwise. Now, when I was looking at this, we also have this book, and like I said, it's a graphic novel. It's a really fast read. I think I read it in like an hour and a half. It comes as an audio. Have you seen this?
No, I have not.
I have not seen how they have taken a graphic novel and turned it into an audiobook. So I'm going to have to experiment and see what that looks like, because if you can read it that fast.
Is it not a normal novel? It's only a graphic novel?
It's only
Yes,
a graphic
it's only
novel.
and then an ebook. You could read the graphic novel as an ebook, but it's an audiobook. So if any of you guys have listened to this, I'd be curious to know how that works. Maybe
Maybe
I
you
don't
need
know.
to,
Like a
maybe,
lot of dialogue.
yeah, maybe you need to have
Yeah.
the,
maybe have to expound upon it. I don't know. I'm curious.
Have to
And that
get
was
with
not
it.
even on my radar until I was looking what formats things come in. But I mean, like, you get a lot of information from the panels, so
Right.
maybe that's voiced into, I don't know.
yeah, I don't know.
I had more questions when I was
That would be interesting.
done looking up my information on this one than I did after I had read it. But this is the new kid. Jerry Craft he's written more than one book.
I know there's a second
Class
one.
Act.
Class Act.
So I'll have to read that one too. And I don't know if it's the same characters or not. It kind of looks the same way it's read.
I think it is.
Yeah,
think
so
it's
I'll
the
have to
same
go
main
back in and
character.
look at that one. But this one follows Jordan, and then Class Act is the second book. So this is Jerry Craft's New Kid. It's a book, an ebook, and the e-audio that has totally surprised all of us. So we'll see if that's any good. I'm going to do another one. This was the book that I chose to read for my Expanding Horizons. So again, reading a Newbery Award winner is one of the books on our task list. This one had been on my to-be-read shelf forever, and I think it was because I was so drawn to the cover. It's a picture here of a young girl. She's walking on the railroad ties in, it's out west someplace. I can't remember where this story takes place.
Read that one.
This is the 2011 winner, and I always felt like she reminded me of Scout Finch. Do you see it?
Mm-hmm.
So she's got on blue jean overalls, a kind of ratty-tatty shirt, and when I finally picked this book up and I was reading it, it totally engrossed me because I love time split books, and that was the first time I think I'd ever read a time split book as a children's story. So as you're following our main character, she's kind of shipped off on a train. That was really bad. She's shipped off on a train, and she is greeted by people who knew her father when he was younger. She's all by herself, and she is taken in her father's hometown, and she learns more and more and more backstory from her father as she starts school, and discovers a mystery in her town. They stumble upon a grave digger and all kinds of things. So it's fun to read the parallels between her father coming through this town and then his kin kind of following in his footsteps. But there are themes of race and absolute hatred. The Ku Klux Klan is in this book. But it was a fantastic book for me. I was just, again, shocked at some of the themes in these early literacy books. So this one, it reminded me also, and I wrote down here, that it reminded me of Fried Green Tomatoes at Whistle Stop Cafe. Have you read that one?
Yes.
So as you're reading it, you get like little excerpts from newspaper clippings. There's notes that she finds in the floorboard that are also included in this. So again, you're following the mystery, and it all weaves together so perfectly at the end. And I definitely cried reading this book. So this is Moon Over Manifest by Claire Vanderpool. It is the 2011 Newbery Award winner, and we have it as a book, an ebook, and an e-audio book. Okay, do another one?
Should I talk about this one?
Sure.
This is Last Stop on Market Street by Matt De La Pena, illustrated by Christian Robinson. This is the first picture book that has been chosen as a Newbery Award winner in, let me look at the year, 2016. And that was very unusual, a lot of controversy that year about that. I think it won something else. I forgot to look and see. It won the Caldecott that year, I think, too. Let me look here. I thought I took a note. It won the Caldecott that same year. It also won a Charlotte Zolotov Award, Honor Award, and a couple other state awards. I know it's Pennsylvania something and another Monarch something.
It's a Coretta Scott King.
There you go. Yeah.
Okay. So I knew I had won a bunch of awards, but it also won the Caldecott, which is the other big, huge
children's
award.
And that's
the
picture book
award. Yeah. So that's kind of more for the illustrator in a way than it is for the picture book writer. But this talks about CJ, who is the main character with his Nana, and they are in, I assume, New York City, going the last stop on Market Street. And so he complains through the whole book about how he doesn't understand why they don't have a car, why they don't do this, and why they don't do that. And so his grandma says, his Nana, says to take a look at all the people around them, what they get to experience and what they get to learn on their bus ride. And then they get to the end. I guess I can kind of spoil it in a way. But they get to the very end and the last stop, and they actually work at a soup kitchen on Sundays. And all the people that they get to work with and see. And it's not necessarily...
It's very humbling.
Yes, it's very humbling because on the way they meet all the diverse list of characters on the bus. And they come to this area that's not the best, nicest area in New York City. But then they get to work with all these, meet with all these people and serve them. And there's all kinds of people on these as they get there. And so he is, it's better than having a car or whatever they're doing. And the illustrations are great. If you've ever looked at any books by Christian Robinson, he's won multiple awards.
One of the things that I like to do with this one is, you read the story front to back the first time, but the next time you just open it up and you come up with a whole new story based on the characters that you're seeing on the pages.
Oh my word, yes. The characters in here are really cool. I mean, just looking through it, everything.
It is a worthy winner.
Oh yes.
And you said this was what year?
Schoolers, 2016.
Oh man, I feel really old. I went to a conference the year that one was announced.
So, and
that's got a beautiful cover too.
Yeah, and so I always take the dust jacket off and look. But I mean, just looking at the end papers has all kinds of cool stuff in it too. So I think, in a way, it was very worthy of this. It has more than, like you said, more than just the story.
Yeah, like if you were to buy this book today, it would be covered.
Yes.
In, you said the Coretta Scott King Award,
Caldecott, Newbery,
and I don't know if that other one, does the Zoloff one, does that one have a plaque?
It might.
So when you, after you win, you get these plaques on your book, and it's not uncommon to have multiple plaques running up the side of a really good book and award winner.
I'm pretty sure I got that at a conference, so that's why it would not have a lot of them.
So it's got 3.
Yeah,
It's got 3.
So the Coretta Scott King Award is down at the bottom. So I bet that Zoloff one doesn't have a plaque though. It's just a notation. I like it.
But yep.
So Newbery is an excellent giant organization that all works together to come up with these really good books.
Library Association.
Yeah. So the one and only Ivan, this is by Katherine Applegate. Goodness, she has written hundreds of books along with her husband, Michael Grant. Together they wrote the Animorphs series. They wrote the one and only Ivan. They wrote Crenshaw. They wrote...
He wrote the Gone series. It's really
the Gone series. And what is that alternate history Girls at War series that he wrote? I can't think what it's called. But fantastic authors, fantastic people. I've enjoyed dinner with them at conferences, and I was so excited to see that...
This girl?
No, that's not her.
Oh, I was going to say,
that's
she's
Christina
an actress.
Applegate.
Yeah.
Yes. It's Katherine Applegate.
Okay, try again. Katherine Applegate.
No, I think Katherine Applegate is old.
No, John and I got to enjoy dinner with
grandmother.
Yeah, with them. So the one and only Ivan is probably the most well-known.
She wrote
Newbery?
Chance of Meatballs. That's what
No,
it
she
says.
didn't. No, she didn't.
No, that's somebody
That's
else.
a Barnett book.
Yeah. Is it?
I'm just really messing this up.
Keep looking.
That's okay.
We'll keep
Okay,
talking.
so the one and only Ivan is the first book in a duology. Is that on this task list too? So if you really enjoy the one and only Ivan as your Newbery Award winner, you can read the follow-up one that is from the perspective of the dog, and then that would be your duology. Yes, because is it the one and only Bob? Is that what the title is? I think it is. The second one.
Well, I can't trust Google or either.
There you go. So this is about the Exit 8 Mall, and it is, and I don't know why I am laughing, because this is such a sad story. This is about a gorilla who is kept captive in like this super tiny box. And he is gawked at day in and day out, and he's a silverback, and he does not understand what it is like to experience freedom. And it is heart-wrenching. And this story is written similar to one of the other ones, to Crossover. It is written in free verse, and it is written from the perspective of the animal. So that was something that, outside of reading like the Jungle Book, I had not read an entire book from the perspective of an animal. And his crayons give him absolute joy. He likes to draw pictures. He watches soap operas. He doesn't understand that he is a true silverback gorilla. And the animals that are also being held captive in this highway side mall, they give all the different characters a voice. And so you have an elephant, you have a dog, you have Ivan, and then there's a little girl who is the daughter of the cleaner, the custodian. Do you remember?
It's been a while since I've read that one.
I think
Something like that.
Yeah, and it's a unique cast of characters that just makes you want to bawl, because unfortunately this story is not just a figment of the author's imagination. It is based on a real life gorilla who is held captive in a tiny little box. So this is a fantastic story, but don't read it unless you're gonna cry. This is a book. It is a book on CD. We have it as an ebook, an e-audio, and in 2013 this was the winner, and just recently it was created into a movie, and you can only stream it on Disney Plus currently. So I have not watched the movie, and I don't know if I want to.
I haven't either.
Isn't that horrible? I'm like,
It's
the book
sad.
made me cry enough. I do not need to watch the movie. But I did read the second book, and that one was a little bit more uplifting, as much as a book about a hurricane can be. It was more uplifting than this one. But fantastic book. This was, again, the 2013 winner, and it would work for your duology as well. Do you have any others?
I have one more.
Okay, do one more, and then I'll
It's
end
like
it with this.
the newest.
It's so pretty.
Blueberry. Oh my word! Look at this. It is beautiful. If you take, and it is heavy. Feel how heavy this book is. You know it's a well-made book, which you don't ever find it anymore. But this is the
Is that a
cover.
snake? It is a snake.
It is.
I didn't notice
But
that. It's a snake on the cover.
whoops. I don't know if you want to see that. But the cover is just beautiful. I mean, I just couldn't believe how, and it's so heavy. And I picked it up, I couldn't believe it when I got
haven't
it.
read this one yet.
Yeah.
Is it
The
middle
last-
grade?
Yes. Yeah, I think it is. It's listed. I don't know what we don't. I actually requested a hardcover copy today. We have it in ebook and audiobook, but we do not have it as a cover.
I bet we had it and it disappeared. That could be.
It wasn't even listed.
Oh.
So, but it is so beautiful.
And this is the 2022 winner?
2022 winner.
Okay.
I had never even heard of it. When
How do you say this?
Cuentista,
What does that mean?
the storyteller.
Ooh.
Yes. So,
Can I put your copy on hold?
my personal copy? Yes, I will hand it to you today. Although it's really hard. You ever have a book hangover? Do you know what that is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you can't read anything, like you love a book and it touches you so much that you can't move on to read anything else.
Or you have like 3 abandoned books right after that.
Oh my
'cause you're
word.
like, oh.
That's what this book was for me. And I was like, at first I thought, oh, I've never read this book. I don't know if I want to read it. And I've had this book sitting around forever. And then I thought, I volunteered to help with this because I thought, yeah, it'd be fun to reread some of these read some ones I haven't read. And then I read this one and I could not even open another book. And here I am needing to read all this stuff to review or to go over for today. And I tell you, this book is amazing.
So
Amazing.
fantasy?
It's science fiction is what it is. I would say
That's
science
pretty
fiction
uncommon
kinda
for
is
middle
what-
grade.
Oh my word, yes. But I cannot wait until this author reads writes something else. Because
This was her first? It's a debut?
it is, yes. She's written something
Wow.
else, but
Oh.
it's not like this. What is she's written something else. Lupe Wong Won't Dance. which won
And that won an award as well.
Yes.
She
But
was.
this is nobody.
This
I
is
never
her
really
second
heard
novel.
of. Yeah, but it's like amazing because this girl, and this is like it just jumps right into the. I mean, it just goes. It never drags in the whole book. And it is.
There's not a traditional story arc. It's just.
It's kind of like in medias res, where you jump right into the middle of the story.
Yeah.
It's 314 pages, and I tell you, the whole thing just like goes. I just read it until I was done. I mean, I didn't read it all in one sitting. I read it over 2 or 3 days, but still,
Wow.
I think it's a mix of science fiction, Mexican folklore, and high drama. That's what I called it, because it
Dystopian.
kind of, yeah, kind of.
It's described as a dystopian.
Yeah, some people
I'm gonna
describe it
have
as
that
that
in my
because you go in and it describes like if you don't, because I don't know Spanish that well, hardly at all, but it like deciphers everything for you. Like
Okay.
you are not like left. Like I can't remember what I was reading recently, but like it would give all these like foreign phrases and it would not like define them for you. So I had to look them up on my own. But this tells you everything you need to know. So it
doesn't distract you from
right.
the book itself.
And so
yeah.
the main character is this young girl that has these brilliant parents, and it is in the future. And the Earth is going to be destroyed by Halley's Comet. Like Halley's Comet is supposed to pass by the Earth, but no, something happened, and now it's going to hit Earth, and Earth is going to be destroyed. So there are these select people that are going to be able to leave Earth to go to this other planet that supposedly supports humans. So everybody, but it's like lickety split, they've got to leave now. So Petra and her brother Javier and their parents, who are like specialists in geology and botany, I think, are going to be leaving on one of 3 planes. Well, something happens and only like one ship has already left and theirs is going to be leaving, but the 3rd ship doesn't get to. I'm trying not to tell too much. And so it's like this time space, but and they're going to be gone for like almost 400 years. This is trip, that's the length. And so there are a group of humans who have volunteered to watch over the people who are being put to sleep cryogenically. I think that's what the word.
Yeah.
And so that's Petra and her family and all these other people. So the one group that's volunteered to do that, they're like, I can't remember what they're called, human minders or whatever they're called. So they're going to spend their lives doing that. And then there's another group that they'll be woken up to take over for them. So there's like this whole process so that all the hundreds of people who are on each ship, like everybody has a purpose. And
Wow.
so Petra and her family will be woken up.
That sounds
in
complicated
300
for
It
an
is,
adult.
but it makes sense. Like when
Okay.
you're reading it, it's not complicated to the reader. Like everybody explains what their job is on the ship.
Okay, you sold me. I'm
So-
gonna put it on my list.
But you know, nothing ever goes how it's supposed to, right?
Never.
And so when they're all put to sleep, everything works for everybody else, but not the main character. So like they're supposed to be learning all this stuff as they're like sleeping, but it doesn't work for her. Like she still can hear things that are going around her, and so but she didn't get all the educational things that she was supposed to get. So the childminder in their room or whatever in their little bunk starts reading all these stories. Like she's supposed to get mythology and folklore and stuff.
Okay.
And so he starts reading the Epic of Gilgamesh. And I'm like, oh, I like this book. Like this is up my alley. And so I was like, oh yeah. So he starts reading about all this stuff in Enkidu and all these things. And my academic teen kids are probably going to be like, yes, I like this because we studied that. And so he starts reading this and she's like, oh, I like this if he reads to me all the time. And so, but then something happens and he gets something, like reaches the end of his life, and so something happens to him, and there's this, of course, evil villain edge to it, and so this group is going to take over, and they think they know everything, and they're going to change humankind to be better. And so they come in and they get rid of him, and then they wake up her and her fellow teens that are there in that little bunk area, and they want to use them for nefarious reasons. So I don't want to tell too much, because that all starts a whole other like second part of the book. And so she has to decide how she's going to do, if she's going to go along with their plan.
So does
or
the
if
book
she's
take place over the entire 400 years? No, it's all pretty sequential. Okay.
And so you get to experience that new planet and do some other things.
This one was not on my radar at all.
Oh,
I'll tell
Have
you
you
it
ever
is now.
seen The 100 on Netflix?
No.
It's like a teen type thing.
Is
but
that?
that's,
I've not watched that, but my daughter has.
that's what it kind of
It's
sounds
based on a book.
like.
The 100
yeah,
is a book.
Yeah, it is a book. I've not read the book, but
Neither.
it
Is it
sounds
based
like
on
a
this?
TV show.
No,
just-
the 100 is a book. But
So-
this is really cool. So, but we do have it in ebook and audiobook. I've not.
And then we're
Yeah,
adding-
I've not listened to the audio, so I have no idea. But I would imagine it would be fabulous.
And then we
So-
will be getting a
Yes,
physical
we will
copy
be
on
getting
our
a
shelves.
physical
We just
copy.
requested one.
Yep.
Okay, the last one will be quick. We're going to leave you with is Holes.
Mm-hmm.
And this was the very first book that my media center, no, that's not right. This is the very second book that my media center clerk, like, totally got me when she was reading this book to me when I was in elementary school. This was one of the Scholastic Book Fair books that we got to sample before it came. And I purchased it, and I still own my own copy. Now, this is the more of a close movie re-released cover. But this follows Stanley Yelnats, and it is also a time slip, very similar to Moon Over Manifest. And in this book, you follow Stanley, and he is, yeah, that's the kind of the original cover, only mine's hardcover. And it follows a teen who, it kind of wraps the story, the characters all come back to focus, but it follows a kid who's hit over the head with a pair of shoes that end up being famous, and he is sent to Camp Green Lake. And at Camp Green Lake, it is not green and there is no lake. And every single day, he and his fellow juvenile delinquents are sentenced to dig a 5 foot by 5 foot by 5 foot hole. Every day. Day after day after day, dig a hole.
Like a different hole.
A different hole. Yes, they don't know why they're digging, but they are told that if they find something, they can get the day off. So they kind of have this gut feeling, hey, we're looking for something, right? The story has wonderful characters, and it does have a follow-up. I'm getting mixed up here. This one is yours. It has a follow-up one. So one of the sub-characters in Holes is Armpit. In a couple of years after Holes takes place, there is a second story. This is Small Steps, and it's going to follow Armpit through his coming-of-age story, and you're going to get to know a little bit more about Armpit and X-Ray in this book after they leave Camp Green Lake.
That's their names?
Yep.
Well, that's their
Armpit.
nicknames.
Yeah.
And X-ray?
Yeah. Stanley Yelnats is Caveman in the book. So everybody kind of has nicknames. He takes the place of Barf Bag. If you want to guess why he has. So it is a fantastic story. It. I just recently reread this one with my kids and my husband, and then we watched the movie afterwards. And you could just see these light bulb moments where the snippets of the story as it's coming and going, all merging together, and seeing those light bulb moments was just the epitome of a second generation read for our family. I absolutely loved it.
That copy says 20th anniversary. When was this?
Oh my
published?
gosh, when was I in elementary school? I'm old now, Michaela.
Watch yourself.
1998.
Oh, okay.
This came out. And then this one came out it was much later, like 2006.
I don't know about that.
And I haven't read this one yet.
Garrett said yes.
Yes, 2006. Okay. So there you go. Like I said, I haven't read this one. I believe we only have it available as a physical copy. We do have Holes, though, as the book on CD, an ebook, an e-audio book, and then I think we have it as
Do you have the movie?
it is a movie. I don't think we have it.
Okay.
I think it went to Disney Plus, so we
Did
couldn't.
it? Okay.
I think because I don't think we could stream it. Like you couldn't buy the discs anymore. Actually, I think I'm getting mixed up. I think the one and only Ivan is the one that we have as a wonder book that has like a play-away thing inside of it where you can actually listen on the inside jacket. I was thinking that was Holes, but I think it's this one instead. So we have totally filled up your afternoon, giving you way too many books to choose from for your Expand Your Horizons
Never
task.
too many books.
But you know what? Some of
Never
these other
too
ones
many.
will work for other tasks.
right.
And obviously, if you come see us at the
Summer
library,
reading, too.
yes,
What are you talking
we
about?
will fill you up, and we will always give you great stories to read. And if we cannot find something on our shelves, we'll be happy to find something for you elsewhere. This is our last Book Bites for this month. Our next episode in July, believe July will be coming in a couple of weeks,
No kidding.
is gonna feature displaced characters. So it's gonna be everything from immigrants to refugees and everything in between. So that will be another heartfelt Book Bites episode. Thank you so much for joining us today. If any of these books intrigued your interest, let us know and we'll be happy to set them aside for you. And we'll see you next time. Thank you.